All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, my name is Alan Evans. It's a pleasure to be here on Maui today. I am very grateful to have been invited by the current Oahu Band Directors Association President, Mr. Ryan Howe, who just conducted the last concert. Round of applause for the honor band. Excuse me, I'm a little out of breath. Whew. I've been sweating for the last 3 days in this gym with the kids. A pleasure to be invited by all the Maui Band Directors. Now, forgive me for missing some of the middle school ones, but I'd just like to take a second to thank Mr. Kerry Wasano, Mr. Myron Carlos, Mr. Casey Nagata, Mr. Mitchell Ota, Mr. Noel Karaya, and Miss Carrie Glickstein. Mrs., excuse me. Can we give them all a round of applause for organizing this whole event? Being a band director myself, like Mr. Howe, we know how much logistics goes into this. It's awesome to do these kinds of things as a band director because you just get to come and do the fun part. Whereas all of those directors were working on meals, logistics, buses, getting the kids back and forth, getting them out of school, getting the schools to pay for all of those things that are going on. So it's a ton of extra work that's not included in any of our pay, but we feel, like Mr. Howe very eloquently said, that it's important for the students to have these extra musical experiences because it's about building not only the musician but the whole student. So speaking of the whole student, I'd like to talk about the program today. You heard about Legends of the Galaxy. Hold on. Composed by Chandler Wilson, I forgot his name. I picked this program with the idea of trying to do something purposefully and carefully different. If you look at most music, classical and current pop and band, it is a male-dominated genre of written music, as well as a white male-dominated genre of written stuff. So for a concert band especially, lots of amazing pieces are being performed, and they very, very much deserve to be performed, but not a whole lot of pieces are performed that are composed by people outside of that category. So for this program, I wanted to take the opportunity to highlight quality music that represents a more diverse mix of people. So Mr. Chandler Wilson from Miami, Florida, is an African-American composer who actually didn't study music. He just really liked music and then eventually started arranging for their pet band, and then that kind of led down a road of writing music. The piece Legends of the Galaxy represents obviously sort of space theme, but there was a nice moment that, honestly, I have to be honest here, I totally missed. Two band directors came up to me and said, "Oh wow, that Star Wars quote in the middle of Legends of the Galaxy is really cool." And I was like, "What?" There's a very hidden in fifths quote of the Force theme. Da, 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 da. So it's very perfect. I did that on purpose, everybody. Because May 4th is just next week. May the 4th be with you. Tonight's program represents in many different aspects a diverse group of people, and just like the people of Hawaii. So I felt like it was very fitting to come to Maui. And our final piece tonight is a piece arranged by a former Maui band director who I had the pleasure of meeting for the first time here. We had lunch on Thursday. We got to talk about the piece. But for now, our next piece, Hopewell, composed by Nicole Chamberlain. Yeah. She herself, as band director, she wanted to write music that is easy for kids to play, but had musical depth to it. And so I thought this was a nice piece to play as our ballad. So this piece, Hopewell, was written for Hopewell Middle School. It just happens to be the name of the middle school, but she decided to tie the piece itself into that name, talking about how this piece is a well of hope for anyone who's going through dark times, especially young children who don't yet realize, or have not lived long enough to realize, that there's an other side to dark times. They come, and then they go. So that's what this piece is about, and that's what it's dedicated to. Hopewell.